Ciao, Cesena? Sono Davide. Ciao. Mi dispiace, non parlo italiano. Solo un po'. Un po'. Questo video? Ma che bello. Che bellissimo. Grazie mille. Stiamo arrivando. Prometto. Ci vediamo presto. Grazie mille. Ti amo. Ciao.
Well, yes. I mean, one of my dreams was to always share the stage with Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, so it's done. Thank you. Bye. And if you wonder why he's talking to you, I mean, maybe there are people here from Gisèle now, from Emilia Romagna, yeah? I don't know, but for those who don't know why he's talking to you, you will know it in about 18 minutes. When I talked to my sister and my son during a dinner recently about this talk, I said I'm going to try to talk about magic and competences. And my sister, who is over 50, said, "Wow, cool, interesting." And my son, who is 16, said, "Ouch, that sounds boring." Yeah, that's why we love our kids, I guess. And I think they are right. What I think is that my sister heard the word magic and my son heard the word competences. We didn't really talk further about it, but I was reflecting about what this means. And I also recall an article that I read in the New York Times, so we can discuss whether the New York Times is accurate or not. That's another debate, but I read an article about magic where they were saying that at the age of 18 months, most of the children already have a magical belief, a magical world. And this is when, they play, if you've seen really little kids playing, you don't really understand where they are in their bubble, they are in their world, and this is their magical construct. At the age of 3, they already know the difference between reality and magic, as if magic wasn't reality, but okay. The article states that they know the difference between reality and magic, and at the age of 8, almost like adults, they can really very clearly differentiate the two. And as if magic was not really existing. And I found that really sad, that at 8, it's gone, It's really, at 3, you still play with your imaginary friend, you still believe in Santa Claus, and at 8, it's gone. So I was thinking again about my sister and about my son, and I was trying to understand whether my sister, she works on entrepreneurial learning with young people, and so I was trying to imagine if she saw the sparks in the eyes of the young people she worked with, and if my son immediately thought about schools, about marks, about this horrible mathematics teacher that he has. I don't know, that he says he has. So I don't know exactly what happened, but I thought that the only way I could be truthful to you today was to talk about that looking at my history. So it's not the truth, it's my truth, and it's a bit of my history, 25 years more or less in now 16 minutes. When I was 14, I lived in France at that time, and I had a proposal from a committee of students who were organizing demonstrations against Lionel Jospin's education policy, so that was in the 80s. There were big demonstrations everywhere in France because of the reform he was proposing, and they proposed me to join the committee to organize these demonstrations. I knew nothing about demonstrations. I hadn't organized anything, maybe a little sit-in in my high school, still in Belgium, but that's about it, I was really not knowledgeable about that. I was not member of any student organization, but I asked them why, and they said, well, you have a big mouth and you have a big heart. And I thought, wow, okay, it really flattered in a way my ego, but it also really made me understand how much they were really talking to my values. They were talking to what I believed in. They were talking to things that resonated in me. They were talking to this, not to this, but really to this level. And this is why I said yes. So our high school was doing fine. We were not so much concerned by the reforms, but we wanted to show solidarity with other schools, and so we demonstrated. And I think this yes was really the beginning of many, many, many more yeses. So after that project, many more other followed, where each time I realized that I got engaged because it was speaking to my stomach. Each time it was moving something here, and each time it was putting me in situations where I didn't know how to do the things, but I knew why I wanted to do it. And each time I really had the feeling that I was thinking, yes, I can. By the way, this is a quote from a training course we had on the competence model that Carmine mentioned earlier for youth workers. So there are a few quotes there. They are all, most of them are from the participants of this course, and actually there's one person here who was there. The course happened in June in Italy, and it's called Yokomo. So that's one thing that the participants said at the consolidation seminar. The magic is, yes, I can. And that's what I did, that's what I said yes, and I also, then while preparing for today, I also remember one aspect of neurosciences that deals a bit with magical beliefs, that says that people who tend to say yes this way, they construct this magical belief to compensate discomfort, or to compensate uncertainty, or to compensate, I don't know, the fact that they are slow to act. And it's a bit like, I don't know if you do that, but I still do that. I still did it even this morning. It's a bit like if you have an important meeting or you're waiting for an important answer, like the thing that will change your life forever. And then you walk in the street and you're like, if the third car that passes is red, I got it. I don't know, do you do that? Nah, yeah, well, I do it. And this is the magical belief that we human beings, or at least some of us, construct to, in a way, also engage in certain processes. So I think this moment, this period of my life, where I really, I really engage in different projects, is also the moment where I experienced magic for the first time. And it's not magic with a magician and a hat and a rabbit that goes out, but it's really magic of what happens when people meet and do something together. What happens when people are moved by the same desire to do something together for a common cause or common aim. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if it's for 1 year or for 2 days, but what happens when all this gets there? What happens when the intentions are good? What happens when you have care? What happens when you have love? What happens when this is there? And I think this is really, for me, the very first time I realized, wow, this is it. This is magic. You know it's right. You don't know why. You don't know what happens. But in every of these projects, there is this thing that you could call the moment. The moment where everything is so aligned, so true, that you don't really question anymore why it's happening, but it's happening, and you know it's right. And that's what we try to describe and to call the magic. So I experienced that a lot of time. And I will not have time to do that with you now, unfortunately, but I really would encourage you to try to, I don't know, this afternoon when we have the workshops, or when you take your shower, or when you go back home, to try to think, what was the moment, one of the moments, because I hope you had many, where you experienced this thing that tells you, yeah, that's it, that's the right thing, you know? Like, yeah, this is it. You don't know how to explain it, but you feel that it's the right thing. And that's what we call the moment. So I would really invite you to think about it. Nonetheless, after, I would say, quite some years following my stomach rather than my head, I started noticing that something was missing. So you were talking about feelings earlier, and yes, I was very much moved by my feelings, but I really realized that all the projects I was doing before would have been much better if I had more competences, if I had more knowledge. And this is the moment where I also decided to get more into learning, so I went back to university, where I got much more involved in training on specific issues, specific dimension. And what this brought to my work was absolutely amazing. It really supported framing the knowledge, framing the reasons to do something, framing the intentions behind what we were doing, and it helped basically going from the stomach a bit upper to the head, which was also good for a while. So I think this is also, for me, the question then where I was wondering, okay, but if we believe that magic exists, and I believe that this magic exists, and at the same time, we need competences for this magic to be in motion. You know, you can have the magic wand, but it doesn't make you Harry Potter if you don't know how to move it. So I was really wondering, okay, what comes first? You know, it's like the chicken and the egg. Is magic there because it's supported by competences? Are competences coming because of the magic? And in fact, I don't really care. I think it doesn't matter what comes first. You have people like me who will build their learning on what they are able to do, and you have other people who will build their practice on what they have learned, and both ways are absolutely okay as long as it's the right thing for you. So this is again the moment where I got back to my first love, which was this magical feeling I was explaining at the beginning. I grew up, I learned, I trained, I think I was much more competent than before. But then I needed to get back to this magic. I was missing a way to be able to convene competences and magic together. And this is when we developed, so that's when I was in pursuit of this magic. And then we developed a competence model for youth workers. You've heard a bit about it. I'm not going to present it in depth here because we don't have the time. But for us, for the 3 persons who were involved in designing this competence model, there was already another one for trainers, fairly similar. But when we set and we said, okay, we're going to do it for youth workers as well, working at international level, we really felt that this was the opportunity to finally bring these questions together, these questions of magic and competences. It's a long model, it has a long list of criteria, a long list of indicators. It's not an easy thing to dig in, but it still tried to give space, because of the structure it has, to the magic for happening. But I would like that we listen perhaps to Gabi, who is a trainer. She's talking about the one for trainers, but what she says is definitely applicable to the competence model for youth workers.
I think it's 120 criteria and indicators. So it's a long list, and I've never realized that our work is so complex. So in one hand, it's nice to know that there are so many elements to our work, but it's difficult to have this long list also to then how can I work on all this?
Yeah, so it's just an extract of another course that was organized by beneficiaries by an organization in Germany on the competence model for trainers, and especially on the political role of trainers, but they also tackled the competence model for youth workers. And this is, in a way, what she says, 120 criteria and indicators. You know, this is where I think my son would really say, that's really boring, you know, how can you talk about magic and then have this list of criteria and indicators? And he would be right. She says it really tries to represent how much our job, your job, is complex. It's a way to also recognize that complexity, but we really, when we develop the model, we try to have an entrance door which focuses on attitudes, and an exit door which focuses on behaviors. Everything in the middle is important. Yes, skills are important. Yes, knowledge is important. But the pillars of the model is really these attitudes and behaviors. And attitudes in the sense of where do you stand when you start an initiative, when you start working with young people or with your colleagues? What is your initial posture? What is your inner readiness to engage genuinely and truthfully into something? And if all this is just, and you know when something is just, because if it's not just, we all have this thing in the stomach, you're like, it doesn't really feel okay. So if things are just, then your behavior normally goes according to that. And our belief, really our belief behind the model is that if these things are there, nothing can go wrong. You might not have the perfect know-how, you perhaps need more knowledge, but it doesn't matter. If you have this, then it will be fine. And if I had to summarize what the model tries to say, it's the following. One is listen to your stomach. Listen to your head as well, anyway, they are connected, but listen to your stomach. Give space, be ready to give space for young people to become themselves. We've heard already through the previous speakers, the colleagues, that there are transformational experiences that are worth for young people to go through. And I think that what we also try to support is really to have this openness and this readiness to accept, to give the space for young people to become themselves, especially in a society that is framing them so much. You know, you can be that way, but in that context, and that way in that context. But hey, don't be yourself in other contexts, please, because that's too much. So what we really want to support is also that you give a space for them to become themselves. We want to encourage reflection. So perhaps, again, that doesn't sound very magical, but when you take the time to reflect on your learning, and especially on your learning with others, because you can learn alone, but, you know, it's a bit like, I mean, I don't know, I'm in Italy, but I could say like pasta without salsa. No, it's not very good. So learning alone doesn't really bring the same result, but if you reflect on your learning and learning with others, and if you reflect even with others, you go really much further in your process. Feel, so yes, feelings, care, love. These are the things that we try to say with the model, and then of course dare to be a magician. And it's not easy to talk about magic. You know, when I accepted to come here, I was like, yeah, magic, and then I was like, really? I mean, what are we going to say? It's like if you try to describe love. Did you ever try to describe love to somebody out loud? Huh? I mean, it's not easy because you would say love is this, it's this, it's this, it's a bit of that. It's a sum of many, many, many things that make it be. And magic is a bit the same, and magic in our work is a bit the same. It's the people you work with, it's the people you work for, it's who you are, it's how you are, it's everything you put in when you enter a process. And there is this how question that I wanted to also take the opportunity to listen somebody who talks about that, Salvi Greco, who is here in the room, and who also shares a bit of his vision on this, the importance of the how. So if we can listen to him.
I think that the most important thing you can do is to fully and genuinely give what you think is important, has a value. Because sometimes it's not the tool that you bring, is not the theory that you bring, the framework that you bring, that it's interesting, but it's how you give it.
Yeah, how you did it. So this how is really, yeah, well, there will be a series of little quotes that might turn now. Again, as I said, these are the quotes from participants from Yokomo. But this how is really important because, I repeat, for us, it is not undermining the power and the importance of skills and knowledge, but if you have skills and knowledge and not the right attitude, not the right initial posture, it doesn't work. It sounds artificial, or you don't touch people really, or you don't even let people touching you. So this how question for us is the sum of the why. So if you remember at the beginning I started explaining why I engaged into some processes. It's then of course following the what, you know what you want to do, but then this how is what makes it real, it's what makes it possible. Yes, so the why, the what, and the how, and how you start again. I think Dada was also mentioning in her talk before how much she's willing to start again now. And in our way, with our words in the model, this is also why we support. It's really a circle that nourishes itself constantly. And as we get close to the end of this talk, I would like to now talk a bit, I mean it's really a few minutes, about what motivated Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters to send this message to Cesena at the very beginning. There was a group of fans of Foo Fighters who were really looking forward for the Foo Fighters to come and play in Cesena. And I think somebody here was even at the concert. Yeah, then even more people than I thought, yes. And so for 1 year, they prepared a gathering of rockers to sing the songs, or especially one song of the Foo Fighters, hoping that they would come. It's not youth work, but it could really also be an experience of youth work. So I wanted to quote what Fabio Zaffagnini, I don't know if I pronounce properly, who is the organizer of this event, said when he talked about it. He said, and you will tell me actually if it's true or not, I don't know. You know, Italy is a country where dreams do not easily come true. It's written county, but it's a mistake. I didn't mean it, I swear. Italy is a country where dreams do not easily come true, but it's a land of passion and creativity. So what we did here is just a huge, huge miracle. I've been working on these fucking projects for more than 1 year, waking up every morning thinking about how to make it real. And this is all that we've got. 1,000 people, 1,000 rockers, and they just did it for one song, your song. So if they did it, we can do it too. And I don't know if we do our work for one young person or for a group of young people, and it doesn't really matter. The thing is that, again, the magic happens when you impact somebody, and you impact somebody because your posture initially is benevolent, is with care, is with love, and with everything you are and everything you know. So I will let you now with just 1.5 minutes of the video of this event, because it lasts for 6 minutes. You can watch it on the internet anyway. But before I stop, because once the video is on, I'm not going to talk anymore. I wanted to thank those who helped me there in the technique for the slides and everything I forgot to show, but also the translation, because it helps me to hear, listen to the others, and perhaps some of you also to hear to what I say. So thank you very much for that. And I leave you with the video.
I guess that this video is gonna be seen by a huge amount of people all over the world. But to be true, it's been conceived to be addressed just to 5 people. So Chris, Pat, Nate, Taylor, and Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters. You know, Italy is a country where dreams cannot easily come true, but it's a land of passion and creativity. So what we did in here is just a huge miracle. I've been working on this fucking project for more than 1 year, waking up every morning thinking about how to make it real. And this is all that we got. 1,000 people, 1,000 rockers that came from all over the nation at their own expenses. And they just did for one song, your song. So our call is to ask you, the Foo Fighters, to come and play for us. Come and play in here, give a concert to all of us in Cesena. So what I'm asking right now to all the people around me is to just make some noise for the Foo Fighters. Come on! Come on, guys!